As far as I'm concerned, that's an extraordinarily abusive message, psychologically speaking. Social transition, the practice of changing a child's name and pronouns at school, is not a benign intervention. As the Cass Review in England found, this is a psychosocial intervention, and this is being performed by people who do not have any qualifications to do such a thing. And again, it's affirming the wrong message. It's affirming that you're wrong, instead of the actual affirming message, which is you're beautiful just as you are. And when we go back in history, all the academic studies show that the majority of these kids grew up to be gay. So what's actually occurring today is a form of conversion therapy. I guess I'd just like to hear your views on the whole situation.
I mean, I was the first candidate to actually speak out about this, and I've been consistent throughout my campaign. I'm a father, right? I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the delight in watching your children grow up is the delight in which they explore ideas and different things. Like my 4-year-old wants to be a mermaid, and my 6-year-old until about 6 months ago wanted to be a dinosaur. So their identity is this beautiful thing as they emerge. But what we do in our society is we protect children, right? So we don't let children buy alcohol. We don't let children buy marijuana. We don't let children vote. We don't let them drive. We don't let them get tattoos because we don't think disfiguring their body is a good idea. We don't even let kids use tanning beds because we think that might have long-term impact. Why in the name of goodness would we let children alter their gender against that whole list of other things that we don't let children do? Why have we created this narrow place where we say it's not okay for children to make decisions that would have long-term impact on their lives, but they can pick a different gender than the one that God gave them? I just don't understand this. Like, I shake my head at the logic that would bring this forward. But
there's no logic, Yuri.
Yeah, but let's put that in a box for a minute, right? Because I think you and I have fundamentally agreed, and I think honestly, if you sat any British Columbian parent down at a table, separated them from the rhetoric that schools are teaching, and said to a parent, what do you think it is right for a child to be able to do to themselves? I don't think you'd find many parents who say, I think my 11-year-old should be able to change their gender. So I think you, me, and the vast majority of parents, I think perhaps if you haven't been a parent, you might not quite understand this. And I say that with kindness and love to somebody who hasn't yet been blessed with children or has chosen a different route in life. But if you've had children, you would look at them and say, I fully support kids shouldn't get tattoos. I fully support kids shouldn't lie in tanning beds. And I fully support kids shouldn't change their gender. And I don't think most parents would disagree with me. But let's put that in a box for a sec. and talk about the environment in which children are allowed to make decisions absent their primary caregiver, right? The parent in any Western democracy is the primary caregiver of their child, right? Parents teach values, they share their faith, they share their ideas about how the world works, and they do that from day one, right? They nurture their child, they bring their child up consistent with the values of that family, the faith of that family, whatever it is. I think there is another piece here, and I know you've spoken on it, which is how have we decided to absent parents from decisions about their children? And I think that's almost as big an issue, because that's the beginning of a wedge issue that is now dealing, so we've got issues around gender nonsense that comes out of this. But we have bigger issues as well that can come around, like indoctrinating children with values that may not be consistent with their parents' view of the world. And we've decided for whatever reason, especially in British Columbia, that the government knows best and parents don't. And it's even worse. Not only does government know best, but it's okay for government to teach it to your children in secrecy and to not tell you and to hide it from you as a parent. And I think that's as bigger abomination, because the minute you cut parents out of the decisions around their children, you've created a totalitarian state where the government now knows best about everything. And you and I know that government seldom knows best, right? And that's government of any stripe, right? Government
Yes.
seldom knows best.
And you're right, it's in the BC Teachers Federation's written handbook for teachers that it is policy to hide their own child's social transition at schools. And they won't tell anyone unless there's a specific need to know.
You would look at them and say, I fully support kids shouldn't get tattoos. I fully support kids shouldn't lie in tanning beds. And I fully support kids shouldn't change their gender. And I don't think most parents would disagree with me. But let's
Your 6-year-old is a boy?
Boy. I have a boy and a girl.
Okay. I would think if your 6-year-old started thinking he was a girl at school, that there would be a specific need for you to know this.
Well, my son goes to a wonderful school. The school phones me if he falls down and scratches his, hurts his knee. The school phones me if he has a fight or a disagreement with another student. The school phones me if he's, ahead or behind in math or reading. The school phones me if he has an argument. And you're telling me the school shouldn't phone me if he wants to change his gender?